Yo, what is up, guys? We're actually back with part 4 of What If Naruto Was Ichigo's Reincarnation. And we actually pretty much left off at the start of the third part of the Chunin exams, where everyone is fighting each other, or going to start fighting each other. So basically, once Hiruzen pulls up the screen and it starts randomizing the fights, all the fight placements would go pretty much to a canon. Sasuke fighting Yoroi, Naruto fighting Kiba, Neji fighting Kanata, and Lee fighting Gaara. Now all the other fights would also go to canon, just too relevant to even bring up. Except Shikamaru's fight, but he's fighting fodder, so no point. So basically, once the tournament started, the first fight would be Sasuke versus Yoroi. Now, in this timeline, Sasuke did not get the curse mark, so that means he will not actually be limited to only taijutsu and no Sharingan. This time he'll use a Sharingan, and this time he'll one-shot Yoroi by easily body flickering behind him and neck chopping him. So yeah, Sasuke moves up to the finale. The next fight would be Shikamaru versus Kin. Now, this fight would go the same with Shikamaru using his big brain to win, and he would move up to the finale. The next fight would then be Lee versus Gaara, and this fight would be the best fight in maybe Naruto Part 1. Yeah, Naruto versus Sasuke was kind of dog water. Nah, just kidding. It was an okay fight, but Lee versus Gaara really took the cake there. So the fight would go to canon, but instead of Guy saving Lee, it would just be Naruto. He can easily flash up there. He's way faster than the regular shooting ninja, and only the higher up ninjas can actually sense Naruto, even see him pretty much. So when Gaara is going to use his coffin technique, he basically squeezes his hand in the sand, kind of breaks Lee's legs, or that's what happened. But Naruto would just slice the sand in half, kind of breaking control from Gaara. So once Naruto saves Lee, in this time Lee's legs will not be crushed, but he still will be injured. So once Naruto intervened, Gaara was given the win, and Lee was taken to the infirmary. Now, after this would happen, basically Naruto's fight would then happen next. It'd be Naruto versus Kiba. Now, Naruto would really just keep Zangetsu on his back, since he doesn't need Zangetsu to beat Kiba. Kiba was always the arrogant one, so he didn't really need to actually use any strength in this battle. He's just gonna let Kiba, beat himself. What I'm saying is, Kiba's arrogance was gonna beat Kiba. So yeah. So basically, once Kiba would start, Kiba would try to be arrogant, say, I don't even need Akamaru for this, and he'd use the Fang over Fang with just himself. He's not going to use Akamaru. Naruto would just pretty much just move out the way, and Kiba would just make himself look stupid by pretty much just running into the wall. Now, after Kiba gets up and he's, kind of pissed, he would then, do the Man Beast transformation and with Akamaru, and, they would do the Fang over Fang. Now Naruto this time would just raise his Ryatsu to dangerous levels, and Kiba and Akamaru would be mid-air until they would just fall. People would be diving with the position to attack, but out of nowhere, Kiba would just fall to the floor. Now, Kiba would be knocked out by Naruto's Ryatsu output, and that would be the end of the fight between Naruto and Kiba. Now, after this fight would happen, Naruto would be moved up to the preliminaries, what am I saying? The finales of the Chunin exams, and the next fight would then be Neji versus Hinata. Now, this fight would completely go to canon, but, like I said, the Jonin would, stop him, since Naruto could actually sense that the Jonin will be fine. They could easily, stop Neji. So basically, after this would happen, Hiruzen would call all the contestants that actually made it through, and would... Oh, wait. I forgot something. What was it? Nah, just kidding. But I actually forgot the Sakura versus Ino fight. Like I said, Sakura being a little stronger than... Not a little, majorly stronger than her canon counterpart, she would easily win. So after that fight, Houston would call all the contestants to the main floor, and he'd pretty much tell them that they have 1 month to train, and next in the month from now they'll be fighting each other again, similar to this part of the exams. So they should use this time wisely, and they should get to training. But he would basically finish his speech saying, bye, basically saying go train. So once Naruto would head out, he would go to Kakashi, basically asking him to train him. But Kakashi would say the same thing, basically saying that he has to train Sasuke. And Naruto wouldn't really take any offense to this, so he would just, he was planning to train by himself, which would actually happen. But like 1 week into his training, he would meet this guy with long white hair, being none other than Jiraiya. So Jiraiya would basically, hear Naruto's abilities, and, he's like, hey, maybe I can help him train for it. So for the next 3 weeks, 3 weeks plus 1 week is 1 month. So yeah, so for the next 3 weeks, Jiraiya would just try to help Naruto, upgrade his abilities. So basically, in this 1 month time, Naruto would actually learn Bankai. Now, other than learning Bankai, he would learn like techniques, how to use Getsuga Tensho in here, in this month, like with the Bankai, and he would learn how to just not get crushed by the spiritual pressure, or he would not learn it, but he would start to learn it. So he'd be fine. Like the old man would pretty much say like you're fine if you don't fully learn that. So, but basically after 1 month of training, Naruto would head towards the tuning exams arena, and he would pretty much just get there via flash app. So he would pretty much just flash up in there with his with the Shihoan desert cloak. But it's not like there was a Shihoan clan, but he just had that type of cloak. And he'd be in that outfit that Ichigo was in the Soul Society arc when he went to go save Rukia. Now basically once Naruto would get in, everyone would be surprised by this, since only the Jonin and the Hokage could actually sense Naruto. Everyone else was pretty, surprised by Naruto's entrance. But, Naruto would be, marked present for the exams, and they would start the exams with them, pushing back Sasuke's fights with every fight that happened or ended. So the first fight would be Naruto versus Neji. Now, once this fight commenced, Naruto would basically just be standing there, and Neji would say that he's, hard work can't beat talent. Yeah, hard work can't beat talent. That's what he said, and that talents will always be superior, and that you can't beat fate. You have to be born strong. Now, Naruto would, basically say all the shonen underdog stuff, just like in canon, but it won't be as pathetic. Now, pretty much, once the fight would start, Neji would, try to hit all of Naruto's chakra points. But Naruto, basically showing that he's trying to show that he's stronger, would just let Neji hit him. And he would pretty much put Ryatsu into his whole chest, kind of doing the iron skin or the Hyoru. Kind of like the Hollows technique, but something similar to that, but for Shinigami. So once Neji would try to hit all of his chakra networks, or he would think he would, Naruto would be on the floor, and he would just easily get up. And he would say, is that your strongest technique? After this, he'd raise his blade, and he would release a Getsuga Tensho. After this would happen, he would not use the name, because the name is 10 times stronger than the unnamed technique, so he would just swing his blade. Kind of like how Ichigo did to Ginjo. He didn't even use his Ryatsu, he didn't use Getsuga Tensho, he used his own Ryatsu, and he split this guy in half. So yeah, basically, Naruto would do the same thing, but Neji would use the kind of like the Hyuga technique, and you do the palm rotation technique. So he would like pretty much lower the damage on a technique, but he would still get hit by it. So Neji would pretty much have a scar over his chest, similar to how Grimmjow did. And he'd be pretty injured, or not that much injured, but he's still pretty injured. So Naruto, wanting to end the fight pretty quickly, since he did not want to spend 60 minutes fighting this guy, or that's how long the fight was on anime, but he did not want to spend much time fighting this guy. So he would raise his blade towards Neji, and the bandages of Zangetsu would wrap around his right hand or right arm, and basically he would then go Bankai. He would just say, Bankai, even though that's pretty cringy what I just said, but he would just go Bankai real quick. And yeah, since I'm not as good as the sub voice actor, so yeah, you can roast me in the comments, but yeah. Once Naruto would go Bankai, you know, like a cloud of Ryatsu or just dust would start to happen or start to come forth. And once the dust would be, cleared, they would see Ichigo or Naruto, my bad there, in like the Bankai outfit. Now, Neji would say, is that a technique? Does that technique only change your clothes? He would say, arrogantly. And after this, out of nowhere, Naruto would have his blade towards Neji's neck, just instantaneously moved towards Neji, and only the Hokage could actually see this movement. And he could barely keep up. He's the Hokage. Like he's seeing Naruto's move, and he's like, this is faster than Minato. But basically, Naruto would instantaneously move, and then he would have the sword towards Neji's neck, similar to how Ichigo had his blade to Byakuya's neck. So after this, he'd tell Neji to forfeit, and Neji would forfeit since he does not want to die. Now, once this would happen, basically Naruto would be pronounced the winner, and that would be the end of it. Now the next fight would then be Shikamaru versus Temari, where Naruto would still throw Shikamaru in the arena, basically telling him, don't be a pussy, and, actually fight. So once this happened, Shikamaru would still, basically win, but he would forfeit in the last few seconds, and, that would be the end of that. Now, once this fight would finish, they would be, waiting for, Sasuke to come. They'd be having a countdown like 10, 9, 8, 7, until, Sasuke is, disqualified. But right when, the proctor is at like 3, a big cloud of smoke would appear, and basically Sasuke and Kakashi would appear. Now Sasuke would be looking like a little stronger than usual, than his canon counterpart at least, and Kakashi would just go upstairs, and get ready to watch the fight. So Gaara would come down, and they would be prepared to fight. Now, once the proctor would say go, Sasuke would try to, break his perfect defense, and he would basically just use Lee's taijutsu moves to basically, put out, try to knock out Gaara. But, Gaara would easily, kind of like resist the knockout punch or whatever taijutsu he used. So, Gaara would activate his perfect defense, and Naruto in his head would think that Sasuke would have to use a jutsu that was as strong as a sword, but not a sword as well. He would have to use like a pretty strong jutsu, or he would have to use water style jutsu, which Sasuke doesn't have. So he's preparing for Sasuke to pull something out. And that's exactly what would happen. Sasuke would pretty much, jump on the wall using chakra set feet to stay on the wall, and he would go through some hand signs before using the Chidori, or the 1000 birds. Now once the Chidori would activate, Guy would pretty much have his same dialogue explaining what the jutsu was, and pretty much Sasuke would run down the wall and pretty much charge up the Chidori, giving it a little bit of momentum before he would pretty much stab it through Gaara's shoulder, basically causing Gaara to bleed. Now Gaara, seeing his own blood, would pretty much go psycho mode. Nah, just kidding. But basically he would start to partially transform, and flower petals would start to fall through the arena, basically announcing that the genjutsu was activated and the Konoha Crush will now be commencing. Now all of the ninjas above low tuning would not be able to be put under the genjutsu. Basically they would break out of it, and Naruto would break out of it before he would pretty much wake up the other people who didn't, like the Shikamaru, who's basically pretending to sleep. But once everyone was awake, or everyone who didn't break out the jutsu, who was basically part of the mission, Kakashi would assign them the A-rank mission to basically go help Sasuke. So Sakura, Naruto, Shikamaru, Shino, and that's pretty much it, I think. So they would all go to help Sasuke. So they'd be running through the forest, where Shino would go fight, Kankuro, one of Gaara's brothers, or Gaara's brother, and that fight would go to Ken, with Shino absolutely dominating that fight, just like he did in the Chunin exams. Or I don't actually know if they fought, but I know Shino is gonna win this. So they would be running through the forest until they would meet up with Temari, and Shikamaru would already have put her under his shadow paralysis jutsu, and he would tell Sakura and Naruto to keep going forward. So Naruto pretty much running forward, he would be losing his energy from being in Bankai, since he, like I said, he is still in Bankai, but it's just like his clothes and his sword isn't just manifested. Like, I know he didn't go back to Shika, but for some reason he just stayed at Bankai. Now, I know you guys are wondering, why is he still in Bankai? He had already used Bankai. But the thing is with Bankai is, Ichigo still technically was in Bankai. Like, he's in Bankai a lot, so I'm seeing why I'm like confused why Naruto shouldn't still be in Bankai. So Naruto would still be in Bankai. What I'm trying to iterate is he's losing stamina from being in Bankai. So he has to hurry this up so he can actually, actually stay awake and not actually like lose consciousness. So Naruto and Sakura would be running through the forest when basically they would be at, where, Gaara is quickly kind of just pulling the last punches on Sasuke, and Sasuke would, lose his energy where he would pretty much get knocked out from the fight. Even though Sasuke has the 3 Tomoe Sharingan, he's still not as strong as Gaara, or, he would lose his stamina from using the Chidori pretty much. So after this, Naruto would pretty much use a Getsuga Tensho when he'd see, Gaara's partially transformed arm going to like choke Sasuke. He'd pretty much just cut off the arm, but the arm would just like the arm that wasn't cut off would just regurgitate itself and re-heal itself with Shokaku's high-speed regeneration. So once Naruto would come in, and basically Sakura would still get folded like in canon, so it would be Naruto versus Gaara. Now the fight would commence with Naruto pretty much just clashing sword to Shokaku's transformed hand. Naruto would completely be dominating this fight. Now Naruto wanting to end this would kind of just put more Ryatsu into his into his outfit, into his sword, into everything, basically kind of like reforming his Bankai into Bankai. So Naruto would then raise his blade before using a Getsuga Tensho. Now, like a red lunar fang would come from his sword, or red Getsuga would come from his sword, and it would be sent towards Gaara. Now Gaara would transform state would be kind of like split in half, but Gaara would kind of just heal himself, or his high healing factor, high speed healing factor would come in to save him, and he would reform himself. And Naruto would be stuck there. He wouldn't be able to move due to all of the Ryatsu crushing his bones. So when Gaara is about to kill Naruto, Zangetsu would then take over, or the white Zangetsu. Now Zangetsu would tell Ichigo, or Naruto, my bad, would tell Naruto, let me show you how to use Bankai. Now, Gaara would pretty much just get folded by Zangetsu. Basically, Zangetsu would use the same movements he did against Byakuya, and kind of like using the chain on Zangetsu, Tensa Zangetsu, and using the Getsugas, in general, just showing Ichigo, or Naruto. I keep saying Ichigo, but if you guys hear me say Ichigo, just know it's Naruto. Basically showing Naruto how to use Bankai with the weird, spiraling Getsugas. It's just Zangetsu is just creative in general. So once Zangetsu is pretty much having Gaara on death's door, he's about to slice off Gaara's head, but out of nowhere, right when he's about to slice off his head, Naruto's would take back control and basically rip off the mask. And afterwards, he would pretty much take a few deep breaths before, seeing, what he's done. So afterwards, he would still do the Talk no Jutsu to Gaara, and, that would be the end of it. Now, that would be the end of, when Naruto would head back to the Konoha village, or, Konoha Gakure. He would then, realize the news that Hiruzen has died, and basically Hiruzen would still use the Reaper Death Seal to seal off Orochimaru's arms, and basically seal the first and second Hokage. So once Naruto would realize that Hiruzen died, he would be a little sad, but he would just be like Naruto and canon. They would have the funeral, and after the Konoha crush, Jiraiya would pretty much meet up with Naruto, telling him if he wants to go on a mission. Now Naruto, not being like Naruto's canon counterpart, is basically saying, you have to teach me a jutsu for me to go with you. He would just immediately agree, and Naruto would pack up his stuff before heading out the village with Jiraiya. Now, this is actually where I'll be leaving off part 4 of What If Naruto Was Ichigo's Reincarnation. Now, part 5 would actually be going over the Tsunade, retrieval arc, and basically going a little bit into Shippuden, maybe into the Gaara retrieval arc. But yeah, so without further ado, guys,